Good afternoon. Today we're here to release information about an incident that happened yesterday evening in Cleveland Heights. Yesterday evening, a little after 7 o'clock, CHPD officers were dispatched to an aggravated robbery in the 3800 block of Summit Park of an Amazon driver. It was reported that from the victim that the gun was brandished, and subsequently the suspect took the Enterprise rental truck for the delivery service. The description was given of the truck, and it was located a few blocks away by Cleveland Heights officers. On Grayton, one officer reported he heard at least 2 shots fired. Upon following the vehicle, the Amazon delivery truck Enterprise continued to flee from officers through surrounding communities, northbound through East Cleveland, then to 90 westbound. The suspect was driving at high rates of speed without the lights on. The officers continue to pursue the armed robbery suspect on 90, and at one point it was reported that the truck was traveling in the wrong direction on I-90. At one point during the pursuit, it was reported by officers at one point he slowed down but continued to travel, increasing speed. Ultimately, there was a collision on I-90 near the Fulton Road Bridge overpass. After the collision, the van continued on where it became disabled on the shoreway near Wade and 90. After a brief foot pursuit, the suspect was apprehended at the scene and a weapon was recovered. Cleveland police were notified and responded to the scene and helped in the accident investigation, and that's still pending at this time. As I mentioned, a gun was recovered at the scene, and just a little bit ago, 23-year-old Jaylon Jackson of Cleveland was charged with a variety of felony crimes: aggravated robbery, aggravated murder, discharging a firearm, weapons under disability, and a drug charge. The victim was later learned to be identified as 70-year-old Curtis Birchall out of Akron. And I want to say, first of all, on behalf of myself and the city, our condolences go out to the family, and we feel for their loss. At this time, I can't speak in particulars about evidence related to the crime, but we're still actively investigating the pursuit, the use of force, and all other police procedures. As I mentioned before, 23-year-old Jaylon Jackson's in our custody and in jail awaiting a preliminary hearing and has been officially charged. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So briefly, I'd like to just reiterate what the Chief said, that our primary thoughts are with the family of Dr. Curtis Birchall right now. We've been in contact with the family, and I've reached out personally to express my deep condolences and the condolences of the city. And at this point, I'd like to ask through a degree of patience with our process. We have an official process to investigate and determine exactly what happened in the incident and our response to it. We are seeking not to speculate, but to have as transparent and thorough a process as possible so that we can determine what our response was and in the context of this incident. So with that, I think we're open to responding to the questions that we can respond to.
How much coordination was there with Cleveland Police on the chase? I know that the city council president felt that there wasn't enough coordination with Cleveland Police once the chase got into the city of Cleveland.
I can't.
Oh,
Sorry, yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can't speak to the matters of communication at that point. All I know is we were in contact with Cleveland last night, and they had assisted us at the end with the accident investigation.
Also, at what point, I know shots would be fired for an aggravated robbery, but at what point in your policy does the pursuit become too dangerous?
Yeah,
If I could respond to this, I think what we would like to do is provide all of you with our pursuit policy. We don't want to sort of paraphrase. We want to make sure that you have access to the exact information that we use in our police policies.
Could you tell us how long the pursuit lasted?
Which if you, I don't know if we have that information.
yeah, I don't have the exact time at hand.
And the suspect, what were the injuries of the suspect? Did the suspect have injuries?
From my understanding, he was taken to a local area hospital for medical treatment. The extent of his injuries, I do not know.
You mentioned high speeds. I mean, were the speeds, from what we heard, 100 miles an hour, and obviously we're not near an interstate here. So were those high speeds on the interstate, or were they through the residential areas?
Yeah, from reviewing the reports and the radio traffic, those speeds indicated we're on the freeway.
On the freeway. I know you want to give us a copy of the pursuit policy, but was there ever a thought that of ending? I mean, I certainly don't want to double think whatever you all felt was appropriate at the time, but obviously it ended in tragedy. Was there ever a thought maybe we should back off with maybe some other
When the
means?
car went the wrong way, does your pursuit policy, does it state that, does it have to be like to a level of a felony offense? Can you just answer yes or no to that?
Yeah, well, no, I can't answer specifically yes or no. Like the mayor said, we'll provide a copy of the policy, but there's several factors in the policy which give us guidance in when to make decisions related to pursuits. Again, I wasn't there last night. I wasn't the officer in charge, so I can't say or speculate what his decision process was. And like I said, the mayor indicated, we're still actively investigating, and until we get all that information, I can't make a comment either way.
So you don't know yet whether the policy that you were about to give was followed or not? You're still looking into that? Or was the policy?
Yeah, I can't make any comments right now related to the specific policy until we conclude our investigation.
And how many officers were involved in the chase?
Again, I don't have the exact numbers with me, but from my understanding, there was a couple.
Are they on, and while the investigation is taking place, what is the protocol with those officers, or are they just working as regular?
Well, they're all off duty at this time, and we're working with my staff to make sure that they're physically and mentally okay to return to duty. So that's something we're working on right now.
And then this was a robbery of an Amazon driver. We talk about this time of year a lot of thefts, a lot of robberies. Are you seeing an increase? What are you guys seeing in regards to robberies?
Yeah, as far as that goes, I'd just like to stay with the topic today, but yeah, it was an aggravated robbery, and I think we've seen it all over the media. These types of crimes happen.
Can we have the correct spelling of the suspect's name?
Jalen, J as in John, A-L-E-N as in Nick, Dewan, D-E-W-O-N, Jackson, J-A-C-K-S-O-N.
Do you have a photo of him, a mugshot?
I do.
Do you have it with it, with you?
Or are you gonna send that?
Or-
I do have it here.
Yeah, we'll
I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, before this incident happened, we know of a lot of police departments taking a look at their pursuit policy. Was that something you guys were doing, or is that something now you're doing because of this?
No, we implemented policy review back in 2019 through Lexipol, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we've updated our policies back in late 19, early 2000, or I'm sorry, 2019, 2020, and so forth, and that they're continually updated, and we do annual training on policy updates.
And I mean, Chief, you've obviously been in this field for quite a while. A lot of us have been in pursuits. What is it like? What do you do in that situation? Can you give us a little bit? Obviously, you can't go into the details of your protocol, but put us in those shoes. What are those situations like?
Well, it's difficult to describe, and every officer is different. So my personal experience or my perceptions might be different from another officer, but it's, your emotions are high, and your perceptions on what's going on it could be different.
And Mayor, I know you said that you want to hand us a written copy, but can anyone say whether, because there are a lot of people that are questioning whether the pursuit should have continued after you started going the wrong way and all of that. Is there any way to say when a pursuit stops, or does it stop, or is there any way that you can just tell us verbally about that? Because there are people who say that maybe at some point it should have ended.
So I think without stepping on the chief's expertise and the expertise found in the Division of Police here, I can say that I know that these police pursuits have a wide variety of variables that all have to be taken into account on any specific occasion, in any specific circumstance. Our policy for that reason is it contains many considerations to be taken into account. And one of the things that we absolutely do not want to do is jump to any conclusions about this specific incident before taking a very close look at exactly what happened and then comparing that to the requirements of our policy and the considerations that are contained in that policy. So I don't think that it would be prudent for us to jump to a conclusion about this specific incident without having some more detailed information about this specific occurrence and how it relates to the policy. And that is done through a thorough investigation, and we can commit to being open and transparent about the results of that investigation, but we don't want to jump to conclusions before that investigation has really gone into full swing.
Where did the wrong way begin? Right when they got on 90, on what was it, Eddy Road, where the car got on the wrong way? Where did that part begin?
From my understanding, when they entered on 90, they were going the correct way. I guess we're still trying to verify information, the driving pattern of the suspect and the officer, specifically which way when the suspect entered the wrong way on the freeway.
Were there any injuries on Graydon where gunshots were fired? Or?
No.
No.
No, I know you guys are still, going back to the pursuit, in the policy. I know you guys are still investigating. Could what comes out of this investigation lead to possible changes, or it's still to be told?
Yeah, again, like we discussed earlier, until we get a good, thorough investigation and a clear picture on actually what happened, in terms of looking at the policy, I won't have an answer for that until we're done.
Do you know when the suspect will appear in court?
I do not know.
Do you have dash cam available at
I don't believe those cruisers last night had dash cams, but I'm not certain. I know my records division is reviewing body camera footage and looking for that information.
And what's the earliest you think we could get that?
As I said before we started, it takes a little bit of time. I'm hoping to get everything to everybody tomorrow, but we'll have to see. And I know that all the stations that are here and all the outlets that are here have all put in requests for it, so you'll all get it.
Just for clarification, Cleveland Heights didn't stop and Cleveland took over. Cleveland Heights was there the whole time to the end where the crash happened?
Correct.
Do you know how many units it was? How many, in this pursuit, do you know how many units were involved?
I don't know. I don't want to give a number, and I don't have the specific.
And they all have the okay to be involved in the pursuit. Sometimes police officers would join in a pursuit because it's happening. Are they all given permission by supervisor to be involved in this chase?
Yeah, no, you're just coming in and after, but we discussed about the policy. We'll give you the copy of the policy, but right now until we complete our investigation on the pursuit and policies and procedures, I'm unable to answer that question. But until we complete, then we will make any determination if there was any violations or not.
Your preliminary guesstimate as to how the procedure went? I have the policy, but I'm wondering if it, from what you know now, were the pursuit's policy followed correctly?
Just to reiterate what we said earlier, we are dedicated not to jump to any conclusions on this. We don't want to give a preliminary determination because we simply don't have all of the facts to make a determination. So we're interested in doing this the right way, in a thorough manner, and we will be transparent about the results of that once we are done with that. We are not interested in sort of providing a narrative at this point that isn't supported by the facts in the future. So we want to be consistent, we want to be clear, and we want to be open about it.
Admittedly, I got here late, but I want to find out if there's something you said today that we didn't know last night.
Well, without knowing what you knew last night.
Well, I can speak to what we released last night.
If you go to the microphone, so we
Yeah, sure. Well, we did release, and we can give you the information. Last night, we did not have the name of the suspect. We did not have the name of the victim. We do have that now. We clarified some information because I think we put out that it was an Amazon van. It was, in fact, an Enterprise van and an Amazon driver. I believe those were the pieces of solid, and the fact that the person has been arraigned. I believe that's right.
Yeah, he's officially charged.
Officially charged. Those we didn't have last night, but I think that's everything else that we know at this stage.
Did I just hear you say he has been or has not been?
Has been.
And what are those charges? Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just for your information, I don't know if you got it, but it's 23-year-old Jalen Jackson, Jalen Jackson.
23 or 22?
I have my notes for 23.
I think
No, let's see, his date of birth is 2/20. Nope, they got it wrong on here. Date of birth 8/28/2000. But charges include aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, discharging a firearm, weapons under disability, and some drug-related charges as well.
Does he have a record? Is he the past record, the suspect?
I can tell you that he currently has an active warrant for his arrest through the sheriff's office, and he does have, there's records show he does have previous arrests, but for a weapons charge, but there's no disposition on that.
Did you say he was from Cleveland?
The Denison Road in Cleveland.
How did you all find out? Did the Amazon driver call 911? Did a resident on the street call 911?
Yeah, the Amazon driver called 911.
Is that available?
It will be, but that's typically through dispatch. So we can help facilitate that, but we don't,
I don't have it. I don't
have
have it at hand, but like he said, we could.
911 calls are public record, and you would go through dispatch to request those.
We did have a report that there were shots fired, because again, I'd like to clarify how many shots and at what point. Was it prior to the pursuit, or when the van was taken? When was that happening?
Yes, after the aggravated robbery, just a very short time later, officers checking the scene spotted the van on Great Road, a side street near North Taylor. When the vehicle made the turn, the officer reported hearing at least two what he described as 2 gunshots.
Or, anybody get hit?
No.
Nobody?
Other questions?
Do you have just that one photo of him, or did you have several of them?
I'll email it to everyone.
Your email?
Yeah,
Okay. Can you just hold it up just so we can get a shot of it while we're here? Yeah, I got her here.
Has funding been available for more training regarding situations like this?
At this point, I think sort of a general conversation about training is not specific to this incident, but our officers receive training on a regular basis, and so that's an ongoing process.
But here's his Jalen Jackson booking photo.
You said it's Jalen?
Correct. Good.
Still email it, but I
Yeah,
just think it's
absolutely.
And just lastly, I really would like to reiterate that our condolences, certainly mine personally and on behalf of the city, go out to Curtis Jackson, his family and loved ones.
Not Jackson.
Sorry, Curtis Birchall. My apologies to Curtis Birchall and his family. I certainly can't imagine what they're going through right now, and our hearts are with them. And beyond that, we are going to investigate this thoroughly and determine what happened and what our response should be, and we will make you aware of that.
Other questions? Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.